you're gonna break into. Up on you.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talking Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Hey, we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. That's right. What is it, week 2 already? PM time slot. Loving it. Show's being brought to you in part by Camp and Aaron Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Camp and Aaron Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. 4099. If you're tuning in right now and you're watching live right now, check out www.ldltv.com. They got an enhanced version. We're experimenting with that. It's just about ready to rock and roll. Programming note, you guys know that we're doing a bunch of new shows. We got a little sporadic debuts for some of the shows. We're waiting to see how our roundtable footage came out. So that's scheduled for Wednesday. Tomorrow, join us for the heavyweight spotlight with Tony Treman and myself. That'll be live. Both shows 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Tonight's Talk to Me Man show will not be going on. I did not get a chance to separate the content for the emails because I was on site this past weekend. So that'll be back better than ever on Monday. We also have Scotty and Krause and myself's show. It's the Billy C's Extra. That's Friday night, 7:30 to 8:30. I will confirm with Marty and make sure all systems are a go there. So we knew that it was going to be a little sporadic at the start, but so far it looks like 3 of the 5 this week, and hopefully by by next week, we'll have everybody rocking and rolling there. But anyway, some great fights to talk about coming up in a little bit on the show. all week long. It's funny. We had the prior week, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, nothing, nada. There was nothing going on. And now all of a sudden we got this past week a plethora of fights, and they were all good. And it's funny, we're going to, of course, talk about Adonis Stevenson knocking out Chad Dawson in 76 seconds. And, I was talking today, and I'm trying to think, who the hell was I talking to? It must have been yesterday, maybe. But I'm drawing a blank here now. Who? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was talking to somebody, and we were talking about the impact that that knockout made on boxing. Oh, it was my man Brooklyn Mikey. One punch. Everybody's talking about Adonis Stevenson right now. And that's what boxing does, man. Boxing, it's excitement, right? And when something like that happens, it just, everybody gets jacked up for it, And, he's getting the accolades and all this stuff. The big questions about Chad Dawson, where's he going? His career's over. He's shot. He's done. He's this. He's that. All from one knockout punch. And I'm bringing that into the conversation right now because, yes, we've been having the debate for the last several weeks about the sweet science by definition, and the style fights where they're fighting in a phone booth. I'm reluctant to use the word toe to toe since there's a couple of different definitions for that. But fighting in a phone booth, the excitement level. And I think that Adonis Stevenson showed this weekend that one punch gets everybody jacked up, and not only that, but it changes the direction of not one but two careers, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. We also got some discussion on Alexander Povetkin and Vladimir Klitschko. That fight apparently being signed, sealed, and delivered. The return of Antonio Tarver. Yeah, he's doing it. I'm not so sure I'm happy about that. Some big fights scheduled for this weekend. The movie about Johnny Tapia being taken over by 50 Cent and Lou DiBella. They're going to be handling that, and a whole bunch more. But first, let's get some emails because I got a bunch of them, and I want to make sure we get to them all. And we will open up the phone line. I want to give a shout out to all the people in the chat room right now. And if you're watching or listening live and you want to be part of the live show, it's real easy. Just visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and come on into the chat room. Yeah, you'll be talking to other boxing fans in there, and occasionally I'll glance over, catch something will catch my eye, and I'll talk about it on the show. So, EQX says people wanted to see a brawling, reckless Gamboa, and were disappointed. I'm actually glad he's not doing that same reckless style. It's funny because that reckless style is exciting. And every single time, I think this was the first fight that my man Gamboa fought in where he tried to do the right thing and be more of a refined fighter. And he's getting criticism for being boring, personally, I think this guy can do well fighting his own style that he's been accustomed to for all these years. But him fighting the way he fought over the weekend was not too bad either. And you got to keep in mind, the guy moved up not one but two weight classes, so a lot of people are forgetting that point as well. EQX says PED should never be legal because it encourages young athletes in high school and college to use. That's in response to one of the emailers last week saying that we should make it all legal and this and that. And I made a statement of, just playing devil's advocate, and I think a lot of people misunderstood. I am certainly not supportive of performance-enhancing drugs by any stretch of the imagination. My statement was like, if they made it legal, then fighters and other athletes would find other ways to try to cheat, trying to get the edge. But I agree with EQX here. I don't buy when superstar athletes or any athlete for that matter says, hey, man, I'm not a role model. I didn't sign up to be a role model. Well, yeah, you did. Because when you play professional sports, in my opinion today, whether you're boxing, playing baseball, football, basketball, soccer, whatever, you are a role model. That's part of the job description. Sorry. And I think you owe it to our youths to set a good example. That's my opinion. He says, EQX says, Billy, by your logic, if Canelo was challenging Floyd, he should go to his weight. Remember, early on, Canelo was saying he wanted Floyd so bad that he would fight at 147. He also says, and are you saying Gamboa should be hand-picking opponents or ducking these young bucks? He's quoting my words from Friday or Thursday. He says, you know where I'm going with this. Yes, I do. First, let me address the Canelo thing. In a way, I say yes. In a way, I agree that, if you were going to go challenge Floyd, you have to go to his weight. I think in this particular situation, it's kind of a gray area because of two reasons. Number one, the Floyd factor, F squared. You like that? Huh? You like the Floyd factor, F squared? The thing about Floyd is that he's said to us in the press that he is going to fight the most exciting fights available for the rest of his career, which we have indications that's going to be this contract he's got with Showtime. So, there's a little asterisk there. And then the other thing is, technically, Floyd has a 154-pound belt. So, I think this is a fuzzy area. But, yes, I agree with my logic. So, yeah, you want to challenge somebody, you got to go to their weight class. So EQX is throwing my own logic back in my face, and he's right. And as far as the Gamboa opponents, my comment on Thursday was the fact that he picked a very difficult opponent to fight in his very first fight at that weight class. That was my point. I wasn't suggesting for any stretch of the imagination that he's allowed to cherry pick, and I criticize other fighters who do that as well. So no, I don't think anyone has the right to cherry pick. But when when you're moving up in weight, you do deserve to get your feet wet. In the division a little bit. You definitely deserve that. You deserve to fight an easier fight just to get a feel for how that larger fighter hits and reacts to your, how he hits you, how you're going to react to those punches, and vice versa, how fighters are going to react to your own punches that you throw and land that you used to, watching you do damage to other fighters. So that's what I meant by that. So. Anyway, hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. I got a bunch of emails, man. And we probably, now that I'm actually seeing all of these, I could have just taken half of them and did the Talk to Me Man show. But I didn't. So I apologize for that. My man, I just see my man, Casa Hill. He's in there. And I want to give a shout out to him. He's still picking on me for let's get popping, man. No, he's not. That's just an inside joke. But don't forget, when I come back from break after the emails, we're going to talk about the fights, including Stevenson's 76-second knockout over Chad Dawson, Marcus Maidana, and my man Josito Lopez in a slugfest. Alfredo Angulo, I got mixed emotions about him. I like him. I admire him, but he's either taking too much beatings lately, or he's turning into kind of a crybaby. I'm similar. It's almost like I'm agreeing with what Sylvia said about him punching like a puppy and all that stuff. He's starting to whine like a baby, and I'll talk about that. Yes, it was a gruesome injury there, the orbital bone. Marco Captain Huck wins the trilogy, I guess, if you call that. Usually a trilogy is one fighter wins one, the next one wins the other, and the third one, who wins, But he basically won two, and one was a draw, but we'll talk about that. We got some issues going on with Frezequendo, what he might be doing next. We have some WBF news. We got some fight on Friday. I was ringside for what was definitely an upset on Showtime. Nick Brinson upset a former, he wasn't undefeated, but he was on his way up, Jorge the Destroyer Melendez. We got that. We got some news from on the other side of the pond. We got the Povekian, the movie. We got a lot of stuff. All of it's coming up in 2.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the number 1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOBoxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day. Everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. If you're watching live right now, check out www.ldl.tv and catch the enhanced version. Don't you love it when people say stuff like, I got some secret news right now, but I can't tell you because I'm not allowed. It's like, I got something to tell you, but I can't tell you. That's what we're getting in the chat room right now, So, anyway, I won't mention Dan's name, but that's who's saying it. But, anyway, my man and by the way, I feel like a blonde or something, oh, wait a minute. I might even, I feel like a...
I thought Europe was a country. I don't know what they mean.
What show is this?
It's the Billy C.
Yeah, I feel like a blonde. I'm having a blonde moment. But, Dan the man sent me an email, and he says to me, he addressed it to Ron, so I thought he was making a mistake, So I was like, "Who's this Ron guy?" And he goes, "LOL, you." And I didn't get it till just now, till just now when he when he dropped his email and when he dropped his comment in the chat room. But anyway, let me get going with these emails. Would you guys stop distracting me? T. Bruce. And it's a long one. It's typical T. Bruce email. Most people just give us a couple of thoughts, but T. Bruce starts writing his novel, and unless it's only at one page. I've always made myself a promise. If you can keep it to one page, it's in. T says Lopez was going to beat Maidana. Anytime he came forward, he was using those straight shots to the body, then followed with some shots to the head. Anytime Marcos got him hurt, he clinched and survived. When Marcos wanted to fight, Lopez threw combinations to the body and followed with shots to the head and made him back down. After a while, he figured Marcos out. Body shots. He was doing great. Then he rested for 1 second, and then Marcos beat him. He said something else, but he says Marcos impressed me a lot. I agree with that. You gotta fight for the full 12 rounds. It's just like any other sport. You're playing football, you got to play for the full 4 quarters. That's what it takes, man. The hardest rounds is that last 3 minutes when a fighter's losing, and you all you got to do is coast, and that guy's he's got 3 minutes to change the outcome of a fight, and if you're winning the fight, you got to stay on your A game, man. So whatever. He says I hate Lara. I hate the way there's always controversy surrounding his fights. He will rob someone in a fight. He'll fight dirty. He'll run. He will have the fight in due to some dirty tactic gone wrong. Against Venus, I hated the way he ran and refused to walk that chump down. He needs to learn how to fight on the inside and stop running like a chump. Also against Venus, he did more clinching than I knew he was capable of. He says the fight was stopped due to him trying to clinch and then accidentally headbutting. Listen, man, some people call it the sweet science, I think he does what he has to do to win. He fights Vanis. The guy's a power puncher, man, and he didn't want to exchange. Now, he was fighting a power puncher in Alfredo Angulo, and he took those shots. He went down and he took them, but I don't know. Hey, listen, there wasn't a thumb in the eye. They used thumbless gloves. If it inadvertently went in the eye, I mean, it's not like the old days, a thumb in the eye. I think that whole situation, which we'll get to in a little bit, is a little crazy. But you hate Lara, fine. I don't have anything against him. I don't hate him. I like both of those fights. I liked a lot in a lot of these fights this weekend. I liked all the fighters involved. And that's what made it a tough week. To root for one or the other. I actually found myself just enjoying the fights in general and not really picking a side, but that was me. He says against Perro, I felt Perro was the underdog. See, I didn't. I thought kind of Angulo was the favorite because of his punching power. He says, I like to see a pressure fighter outwork a tactical fighter. I do too. He says, it rarely happens. It happens. He says, so I like to see it. Lara ran and surprisingly didn't clinch at all. He gets points for that, but the pressure was getting to him. I felt that Perro was making the fight close. Lara got dropped and his heart for getting up. But it was pretty obvious that his dirty fighting caused problems again. Lara doesn't really have enough power to hurt Perro. So when Perro turned his back, I instantly knew that it was a thumb. But then the replay confirmed it. I hate how the commentators are not thinking logical about why the fight ended. Lara did well, but he shouldn't get patted on the back for constantly having his fights end due to dirty tactics. The replay showed a jab hanging a thumb in Perro's eye, and he folded. Out of tonight, I'm impressed with Marcos Adonis, although I didn't see that fight yet. This is T. Bruce saying this. He said, but Lara did not impress me. He was sometimes folding under pressure like I knew he would, but I hate the thumb, and I hate how Al Bernstein, a guy who had probably never boxed, refused to look at it for what it was. If Lara didn't have the power to hurt Perro and Perro landed cleanly all night, then why was Perro about to cry, quitting after one shot? Because he had a broken orbital bone in 2 spots too, bro. I mean, that's why. But he says then the replay shows it, and they still wouldn't talk about it logically. And one more thing, Perro's eye didn't slowly swell up over time after he got done by that jab. It blew up in a matter of 45 seconds. The commentators failed tonight. Listen, the reason why inadvertently a thumb, the thumb is attached to the glove now. They used to have it separate, and you could, force a thumb into the eye. Inadvertently, it does happen. if a hand is, but it's not a thumb the way, by definition of the way the thumb in the eye used to be. If the replay did show that the thumb kind of went in the eye, but the ringside doctor said that he had broken his orbital bone, and it was a very painful thing, and the thumb in the eye might have or would appear to be a thumb in the eye might have just magnified the pain. I don't know. But the excuse that I'm going to get to a little bit later that he said, the reason why he was turning away, is kind of funny to me. My man Matt Polovic says, "Hey Billy C, I've been listening to your show for the last few years and I love it. Thank you." He says, "I'm a premium subscriber." Oh man, then you're the best, bro. He says, "I'm a premium subscriber and I can't understand why other people wouldn't be for that price. Anyway, I know how you feel about Smitty." Oh, Smitty. He says, "I was watching, I'm not going to mention his show because I'm not going to promote it. And he also says he was watching an episode. I don't know why anybody would watch it, but anyway, he says, and it featured Ricky Hatton. He says, and about a minute or two into the interview, Smitty asks about why fighters are mostly humble outside the ring. And he says, Smitty said, and I quote, "It just seems like fighters, great fighters, are rooted in humble beginnings. I think it's something that inspires them to do what we do." He says, "Has Smitty ever fought?" He says, "I can't believe he could have being with the goofy way he looks while in the ring with really great fighters." He says, "I wish you had a show similar because I watch that show for the boxers, not for him. Just wondering if you knew the answer to that because I got to laugh when he kind of included himself." He says, "Thanks, Billy C. Keep up all the work. I love all the new additions to the great show. We'll be very happy if the extra segments are available for the premium subscriber downloads." Well, here's the thing. First of all, thanks for the email. Here's the thing. Those new shows are all going to be separate from this. They're separate shows, and as far as podcasts, they're video oriented. They're being geared for TV and webcast. So we are working on some special things, like I mentioned last week, that will be for podcasters only. All of our material, other than these new shows that we do have audio versions, and we're working on some other projects that we will have podcast versions only. So fear not, the premium podcasters will always get special treatment. But as far as to do a show similar to the one you're referring to, we have them. I know a lot of people like interviews. We do a lot of interviews. We also feel that interviews aren't the basis of all shows. We've interviewed every single major person you can, except for two people. I haven't gotten Mike Tyson on the show, and I haven't gotten Oscar De La Hoya. But you go back and look at all the people that we've had. We've had all the main all the main named people on the show, and we still do. When they reach out, we put them on because we don't want to. We're not chasing anybody, and not that I am against it, and we would love to have anyone on. And all they got to do is ask, and we put them on. So I hear what you're saying, and we do it on a regular basis. Now, as far as Smitty and fighting. He actually did fight as a professional, FYI. Yes, he's a total clown, but he did fight. Didn't last long, couldn't cut it, and got into doing what he's doing now. But he did fight pro, something better than I ever got to. Yes, I fought as an amateur, but never as a pro. So, yeah, he did, believe it or not. So thanks for the email. My man Bjorn Henrique says... rapper and Curtis 50 Cent assuming a new role there. It's a documentary participating with Lou DiBella on Tapia. Yes, they acquired the rights. He says DiBella's newly minted BK Blue Productions and Jackson's Cheetah Vision Films have joined to present the film, a look at the late boxer Johnny Tapia. This is actually the. I guess he sent me the. I guess he sent me the press release here. Yeah, we'll be talking about this a little later. But yes, I appreciate that heads up. Bjorn, this is the whole press release that we all got. And and we'll be talking about that in a little bit. So I want to thank Bjorn for sending it to me. He also had some other comments. He said, I say great job by Gamboa, who moved up 2 weight classes. See, I agree with you, man. I agree with you 100%, and I can't believe that the people that are being critical of Yorarkis Gamboa for his performance on Saturday night, he says he moved up 2 weight classes, especially against a naturally bigger guy and stronger undefeated fighter. And that was my point on Friday when I said, he deserved at least a get my feet wet in this new division fight, and he chose to fight a real fighter, which I give him a lot of credit for. He says, I think we see the old I think we will see the old Gamboa once he stays at 135 for a bit and gets comfortable with his body and that level of competition. I agree, and again, that's why I felt he deserved a tune-up fight, so to speak, at 135. He says, going into a fight 2 weight classes up from what you've been used to for your whole career is tough and requires a lot more thinking and adjustments during the fight. I'm glad to see he moved up and took a tough undefeated fighter for his first fight out of the gate rather than an over-the-hill washed up past his prime boxer as most do to pad their record. See, I would have even given him the pass to take that matched opponent just to feel and get used to that new weight class. And finally, he says, everyone said Gamboa needs to fight smarter and stop being so aggressive, which leaves him open to get hit. He does that, and people say a boring fight. I agree with my man, Bjorn. Am I getting that right? Yeah, Bjorn Henriquez. I agree with him 100% with that and about Gamboa. You guys know I'm a big Yorarkis Gamboa fan, but I agree exactly what Bjorn just said here. He moved up 2 weight classes basically and fought a tough fight for his first go at it, and I give him a lot of credit. So, hey, listen, I got to take a break, and when we come back, we got a couple of more emails. We'll get into all the fight results. We got some news. We're going to open up the phone lines, all that stuff coming up in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I
would think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York and the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy
what?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech.
Leave,
What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And if you're watching live through a stream and you want to get in the chat room, come on over to www.BillyCBoxing.com and get on in that chat room. We got a couple more emails before I really piss everybody off and give you my thoughts on the fights. But Dan the Man, our own TMZ secret guy that's on the streets of London uncovering all the secret stories and then teasing us that he's got one that he can't tell us about. He writes, hey, Ron, which I guess if you've been listening to the show, you might know what that means. But anyway, he says, hey, Ron, which I don't agree with, by the way. What's your opinions on Huey Fury? When I spoke to Peter, and he's referring to Peter Fury, regarding Huey, it was just before his debut. And when he had told me that Huey would be fighting 13 times, I thought he was dreaming because I thought that happened in the good old days. But it looks like he may actually get 13 fights under his belt this year. He says, I, for one, like to see more fighters do this. What are your thoughts? And he says, P.S. I'm going to be in the chat room providing a comedy. Well, you certainly are, my man. There's no question about that. I tell you, I'm glad you emailed me about this, about Huey Fury. I enjoyed watching his. I got to see a couple of his fights so far. I saw his pro debut. I saw. I think what was he 5 now or something? But I think I've seen 3. Here's what I think. I think that he and he's only 18, by the way. I think he shows more. Now, don't get me wrong. Tyson Fury has more experience right now and is well, way more polished. However, I think that Huey Fury shows a little more natural athletic ability, something that I feel that Tyson Fury has not anything of. He's got no athletic ability. I think that the legs and the way his movement, his footwork, I'm talking about Huey here, is much better at this beginning stage of his career than Tyson Fury will ever get. So, with that said, he does have that Tyson Fury build in terms of, you don't see any muscles on top of muscles. But, we'll see as he moves up. But I like what I see. And to tell you the truth, I think if he continues improving, and if he does something that, Tyson Fury failed to do and get himself an American. Now, I'm not saying or suggesting for a minute that, there's no good trainers in England, but an American trainer, meaning a guy that can teach an American style of boxing, I think he's better off. The stand-up European style sometimes doesn't work. But I like Huey Fury, and I think he's showing some good athletic ability, as well as his legs. I like the way his legs are. They're proportionate to his body, unlike what we see with his cousin. So anyway, we have. Another email from, who is this one from? Oh, I guess that was it. That was the last one. Phew, good. I thought we had a bunch more, but that sounds good to me. let's move on to the fights. Yeah, I want to hear about the fights too. I know about the fights. Come on, man. I know about the fights. Listen, there were so many good fights, but I think the one that had the most impact on the sport this weekend was Adonis Stevenson clearly upsetting Chad Dawson. Took 76 seconds. He really landed one punch, and it was on the side of his head. And when I saw the punch happen live, I was like, oh my God, and he went down, and I knew he was out. He got up. I think the referee did the right thing. He wanted to let him continue. But Chad Dawson did not take a step forward. He did not appear to be, trying to get back in there. And the most important thing, like we learned during the broadcast, was that particular referee had said to both fighters in the pre-fight meetings, listen, if you get knocked down, the first thing I'm going to be looking for is that your hands get put up, that you demonstrate to me that you're ready to continue, and then I'm going to ask you to step forward and blah, blah, blah. Chad Dawson did not step forward, did not put his hands up, did not even respond, and the referee was giving him the opportunity to do so when he waved it off. I thought it was a legitimate stoppage. I think that Chad was in trouble, and if you go back and watch the replay, you'll see Eddie Mustafa Muhammad going over, and at first you see him pointing and he's saying stuff to the referee, and I took it initially like he was talking smack, saying you stopped it too soon, but then at the very end you see him nodding, saying you did the right thing, and I agree. I thought he did do the right thing. Adonis Stevenson came into this fight going up in weight. See, that's another thing that a lot of people were failing to give him credit for. He's a super middleweight. He was trying to get a fight with a Frotch or an Andre Ward or one of the other Brits, Boutte or Canadians, Boutte or Jean Pascal. So this is a guy that got the opportunity. And as he said in his tearful post-fight interview, that he talked to the late great Manny Stewart, and Manny Stewart said, "Listen, if you ever get a chance to fight Chad Dawson, take the fight. You're going to knock this guy out," and he certainly did. I think it made a huge impact on the sport. It's still, and you know what I give Adonis Stevenson credit for? Not only moving up in weight and beating Chad Dawson. I give him credit because really, if you go back and look at his last half a dozen fights, he comes in with the same exact game plan. With the exception of Darnell Boone, which seems to have his number. He went a few rounds with him, I think 3 or 5 or whatever, because he's kind of awkward. But Stevenson does the same thing. He comes in, he headhunts, he tries to take his opponent out as quickly as possible. Chad Dawson is supposed to be a refined boxer. I had said on Friday that I thought that one of the weak links for Chad Dawson was the fact that he changes trainers like I change socks. But I got to be 100% honest. I had no idea that he's gone through 11 trainers since he started his pro career. 11. That's ridiculous, man. And there's no continuity there. That's a clear example of a fighter who thinks he doesn't need a trainer. People are saying that Chad Dawson's career is over. I have a tendency, I'm not saying it's over, but he is nowhere in any shape or form an elite fighter. I think this fight shows that he's ordinary at best. Yeah, he was caught. Yeah, he's got boxing skill, but he certainly hasn't been able to display it in quite some time. I don't know if there was a rematch clause in there or anything, but I will give Chad Dawson credit. At the end of the fight, he handled it like a man. He took the interview, which he didn't have to do, and he also gave Stevenson credit and said it like it was. I got caught tonight. I got caught, and he stopped me. End of story. What else can you say? And what else can you say? So I like that. That's for sure. Also, the referee, his name was Michael Griffin, he said, listen, I tried to give Dawson every chance to continue, and he didn't respond. He didn't seem to have the legs. I had to stop it. I agree with that. I think he did. Gamboa, as we talked about, and by the way, Adonis Stevenson improves to 21-1 with 17 knockouts. Chad Dawson drops to 31-3 with 17 knockouts as well. The co-main event, Yorikis Gamboa improved to 23-0 with 16 knockouts when he won a 12-round unanimous decision over Darley Perez. Perez now is 28-1 with 19 knockouts. The way the judges saw it, 116, 111 twice, 115, 112, all in favor of my man Yorikis Gamboa. Listen, the bottom line is this. People don't like Gamboa. They feel, that he fought too safely. They were criticizing him before for attacking his opponents. I think that we need to give him credit. Darley Perez is a quality fighter, a young fighter. I refer to young fighters on the way up, young bucks, and that's what Darley Perez is. I think we got to give Gamboa credit. I think it's a deserving win. In a weight class that he moved into. And, hey, listen, I don't have any complaints about that fight. And Darley Perez is not going anywhere. He's going to, I don't mean that, moving up. I mean, his status is still solid. I don't think he's lost anything by losing to a guy like Gamboa. So I think that both fighters won in this case, in a sense. Also, on that card, we had Jose Sniper Pedraza. He attacked his opponent, Sergio Villanueva, with a body attack that finally halted that fight at 2 minutes and 59 seconds of the 7th round. Jose Sniper Pedraza improves to 13-0 with 9 knockouts. And Sergio Villanueva drops to 25 wins, 3 losses, and a couple of draws with 13 knockouts as well. Another fight that was on. I mean, all these fights were so good. It seems, Hey, Dan, slow it down there with the flirting with Kaylee. All right. I mean, come on, man. This guy's in the chat room making moves on the women in there. Come on, man. Come on, Dan. Go back out in the streets in London and look for some boxing stories. Stop trying to hit on the girls in the chat room, will you? Maidana. And my man Josito Lopez had a great fight, man. Listen, did anybody that's listening now or watching now or you're about to watch or listen, did anybody think that they were going to get a different fight from Josito Lopez and Marcos Maidana? I mean, if you asked 99.9% of the people to tell us how that fight would have gone, that's exactly what they would have said. They would have said it would have been a slugfest. And I think T. Bruce made an interesting point that Josito Lopez was doing everything that he had to do. He was well on his way to a fight. He slipped for 1 second. And the veteranship, the ring generalmanship, so to speak, of Marcos Maidana was able to capitalize on that mistake, and the rest is history. Marcos Maidana stopped Lopez in the 6th round via a TKO. Maidana improves to 34-3 with 31 knockouts, and my man Josito Lopez drops to 30-7. The official time was 1 minute and 18 seconds of the 6th round. And interesting scorecards. Josito Lopez was up on 2 of the 3 scorecards by a point, 48-47. And then the same score, the third judge had it in favor of Maidana. I get the impression that Marcos Maidana, Josito Lopez is being fed some tough fights, man. I mean, this guy hasn't had a chance to reset. It's a little too much. But post-fight, what's wrong with me? I can't even speak today. Post-fight quotes. Josito Lopez, we were expecting a tough fight. It didn't go too well for me. He says it was an early stoppage. We are warriors. I'm not happy with the stoppage. I wish the referee would have let me fight my way. He caught me with a good punch. Nothing to deny. I'm not happy with the result. Maidana said, good evening. I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm happy to have won such a tough fight. We had a difficult training camp. I want to thank my sparring partner, Bam Bam Rios, for helping me prepare for this fight. He hit me in my leg. That got me numb. and he landed a couple of good body shots. I told Robert Garcia when I went back to the corner that I was numb, and he told me, "You're going to war." Typical instructions from Robert Garcia. Body attack, body attack, body attack. That's what I love about Josito Lopez, but nonetheless, he came up short. So congratulations to Maidana. I already gave you the records. Now, in another fight that was a war, Erslandy Lara, he improved to 18 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, with 12 of his wins coming by knockout, despite being dropped in the 4th and the 9th round by Alfredo Angulo. He ended up stopping Angulo at 1 minute and 52 seconds of the 10th round, and he claimed a belt as well. Angulo drops to 22-3 with 18 knockouts. Now, Angulo was ahead on the scorecards comfortably, 86-83, and the fight was stopped. Now, there seems to be some controversy. Apparently, the California State Athletic Commission has confiscated the gloves. They're going to try to inspect them to see if they were capable of causing a thumb in the eye and that kind of damage. What happened was, it was a back and forth fight. The ringside doctor had said that he, by looking at him without X-rays, he felt that the orbital bone in his eye was broken, was hurt. Fractured, and he said it's extremely painful. And he did not. He was not surprised when Alfredo Angulo kind of turned his back and stopped. And the referee Raul Cailles Sr. Saw him turn his back and immediately stopped the fight. Now this is where it gets a little, in my opinion, a little crybaby-ish from Alfredo Angulo. Now I'm not suggesting any way, shape, or form that he's not a warrior in the ring, because we all know otherwise. But here's what he said. Alfredo Angulo said, I never quit. Now the referee basically took him turning his back after he got that punch as quitting. He says, I never quit. I turned to tell Virgil, and he means Virgil Hill, that I got thumbed in the eye twice, and the ref stopped it. He said, Lara fought a dirty fight again. He's a dirty fighter. Listen, man. Listen. I've heard a lot of excuses, all right? But when was the last time you saw a fighter in the middle of a fight? In the middle of a fight. Now, we've seen a lot of fighters like you-know-who or other fighters, look over at their corner and nod, or a fighter gets dropped and he gets up and he looks over at his corner and he gives him a thumbs up, I'm okay, or something like that. We've seen that. But when was the last time you saw a fighter turn around and start communicating with his trainer, like what he's suggesting here, that he was saying, I got thumbed in the eye. Hey, Virgil, I got thumbed in the eye, not once but twice. Oh, by the way, the round is still going on here. No, I don't buy it. I think he was under excruciating pain. If you haven't seen the fight, or if you haven't even seen still shots of it, you can understand, a human being can only take so much before they have their breaking point. It's interesting for me. I like Alfredo Angulo, and I'm starting to look at some of his last few fights, and I'm thinking, man, this guy is going to be, he's like the poster child for somebody that's going to end up in a bad way. I don't know, man. His style of fighting, the persona they build him up to be, and the stint in the slammer, and what the situation was surrounding that. There's so many tangibles with this guy. I don't know, man. I just have this bad feeling that he's going to end up, something negative is going to happen with him, whether it be permanently damaged in a way, maybe an eye, maybe a brain, maybe speech. I don't know, man, but they need to take a look at this guy, make sure he's okay. I know he's not exactly a vocal person, although I have seen him ringside where he is very vocal. He gets into watching fights, and he's very vocal and can communicate. But when it's his turn to fight, he really looks like he doesn't want to be there sometimes. I don't know. As far as Lara being a dirty fighter, I really don't have a comment on that. Bernard Hopkins is a dirty fighter. If you want to call Lara a dirty fighter, you got to call Bernard Hopkins a dirty fighter. learning tricks of the trade and fighting dirty, I think are two different things. If you're going to load your gloves like what's his name did, Antonio Margarito, then yeah, that's a dirty fighter. If you're going to cheat in a way, that's a dirty fighter. But if you somehow land a shot occasionally below the belt, or if you inadvertently hit your opponent with an elbow, or you come in head first and you're not necessarily doing it on purpose, but it happens. People called Timothy Bradley a dirty fighter as well. So I don't know, man. It's protect yourself at all times. So it's according to, like I said, according to the ringside physician. He said he felt very strongly that an orbital bone at least was fractured in one place. So anyway, some other fights on Saturday. Marco Captain Hook beat Ola Aflobi. He improves to 36 wins, 2 losses, and a draw, with 25 of his wins coming by knockout. And he retained his WBO cruiserweight belt. 114 was the way one judge had it. 115, 113, and 117, 111. I saw highlights of the fight. I didn't see the whole fight. And, obviously the highlights made Huck look good, but just judging by the other scores, I think the highlights were an indication of how the fight went. I don't know what that one judge was watching. Maybe he had a bad spot. But anyway, he claims, Huck claims that he wants Firat Arslan next. Over in England, we had James DeGally improved to 16-1 with 11 knockouts when he stopped former world title challenger Stefan Basic, who drops 26-7 with 17 knockouts in the fourth round. He stopped him. And also on that card, Chris Eubank Jr. Stopped Tyann Booth in the eighth round to improve to 10-0 already. Chris Eubank Jr. is 10-0 already with 5 knockouts. Booth drops to 11-10 with a couple of draws. 2 minutes and 31 seconds was the official time in that one. Kid Galahad, I love that name. And he's a good fighter, too. He improved to 14-0 with 7 knockouts when he stopped Isaac Nettie in the fifth round at 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Nettie drops to 21 wins, 9 losses, and 1 draw, with 11 of his wins coming by knockout. And the earlier mentioned Huey Fury, I was right, 5 wins now, 4 coming by knockout when he destroyed Ladzevic Kovark in the first round. 1 minute and 37 seconds was when that came to an end. 10 wins, 15 losses now, and 5 knockouts for Kovaryak. And, hey, for a fighter that's got 5 wins now, beating a guy that's got 25 wins, I don't care. That's pretty damn good. And Huey Fury, I know, had a somewhat of a decent amateur career. So, I think he's a fighter to watch in the heavyweight division, that's for sure. Juan Carlos Sanchez did not make weight. The IBF subsequently stripped him of his super flyweight belt. So if he would have won, he's not the champ. If he would have lost, his opponent, Roberto Socha, who was undefeated going into that fight, would have gotten the title. But unfortunately for Socha, he did not win the fight nor the belt. Juan Carlos Sanchez improves to 16-1 with a draw, with 8 of his wins coming by knockout. And he does not have the IBF super flyweight, no more. And Roberto Socha drops to 24-1 with 14 knockouts. The way the judges scored it, 2 saw it the same at 117-110. The third had it 116-111. Also, Jesse Magladeno, one of my favorite young fighters, he improved to 15-0 with 11 knockouts when he took care of Henry Maldonado and stopped him in the fourth round. He had hit the canvas not once but twice in the second. Maldonado loses for only the second time in his career. He's 16-2 right now with 11 knockouts. Also, heavyweight contender Andy Ruiz, who I've yet to see live, 19-0, 12 knockouts, knocked out Carl Davis. I mean live, even on TV, watching him live. But knocked out Carl Davis in the very first round. Carl Davis drops to 16-6. And lightweight Jose Feliz improves to 24-0 with a draw and 18 knockouts when he took care of Fernando Garcia in the first round as well. Garcia drops to 27-4-2. Humberto Soto is trying to set up a farewell fight against Eric Morales, a big fight that will take place in Tijuana, from what I understand. He made a statement by taking out his opponent, Hiroshi Nakamura, 9 rounds when it was finally over. Nakamura drops to 33-6 with a draw, and Humberto Soto improves to 61 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws, and 35 of his wins coming by knockout. I don't want to see Eric Morales fight again, but I guess we're gonna, and it'll happen in Mexico. And I think the one thing I will say, although I don't want to see Eric Morales fight Humberto Soto, despite this impressive win, I think the talent level, age, and all that stuff is pretty similar. So it's not like Eric Morales fighting some young killer. So also in that card, junior flyweight Jose Alfredo Zuniga improved to 11-4 with a draw when he upset Luis Ceja by a unanimous decision. Ceja drops to 23-4-3. My Paisan, that's right, in Italy, 2 Europeans on the line for the vacant European super lightweight belt. Michel Di Rocco improved to 35-1 with a draw, won a decision over Lenny Dawes, who drops to 25-3-2 with 10 of his wins coming by knockout. And for the vacant European super middleweight title, Mohamed Ali Nadai improved to 21-1-1 with 13 knockouts. I'm sorry. Mohamed Ali Nadai is now 23 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw with 13 knockouts. And his opponent, Christopher Rabrasi, he also, his record now is 20 wins, 2 losses, and 3 draws when the fight was ruled a draw, and it did not go over too well with the crowd. Hey, I got a couple of more fights from Saturday. I got some fights to talk about from Friday. I got some news. We're still trying to open up the phone lines in a little bit. So come back with us in about 2.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
It's Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. We got a couple of more fight results to talk about. We got some news and all that other stuff. And we're going to try to get the phone lines open here in a little bit. And if you're watching or listening live and you're not in the chat room, come on over to www.BillyCBoxing.com and check out the chat room. You'll find some interesting things going on in there. But anyway, Fred Zaquendo. Listen, I've always liked Fred Zaquendo, but come on, man. I mean, come on, man. You know, you really think he's, well, anyway, check out the Ringside Report. Our very own Blakely Berger was ringside for that fight. And he beat Derek Rossi by a 10-round decision. I like Derek Rossi. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Has seen better days, but I thought it would be a little more competitive than I guess it was. He's ranked number 5 for Zaquendo, and he improved to 36 wins, 7 losses, 23 coming by knockout. 10-round decision over Derek Rossi, who drops to 28-7 with 14 knockouts, 98-92, 97-94 2 times. So, and a guy that we just had on our show not too long ago, Mike Hollywood Dominguez, improved to 11-0 with 8 knockouts, and he scored a 1 minute and 22 seconds of the 4th round knockout over Richard Starnino out of Providence, Rhode Island. Now, I noticed that my man Alex Papali is in the chat room. We've seen this guy fight at Foxwoods and those shows before. I mean, he is a tough guy, but he is tough, and that's why I'm giving some credit to Hollywood. Junior middleweight Jorge Paez improved to 35-4 with a draw when he took out Edison Garcia in the very first round. That took place in Baja California, Mexico. Garcia drops to 22-15-0 with 10 of his wins coming by knockouts. And we also had Francisco Leal improved to 20-7 with a draw when he beat Jermaine Merez, who drops to 41-16 by a 8-round unanimous decision. And there was some other lower end fights too you can check out on your own. And also the WBF had a couple of titles being retained over the weekend. We have read it. It's up on my website because I certainly can't pronounce the name. It's up on the website, www.BillyCBoxing.com. On Friday night, I was ringside for the Showtime event. My man Alex Papali was with us. And the only thing I'm going to say is with me. The only thing is he brought a friend with him that, Alex Papali brought his buddy with him that just wouldn't shut up for the whole fight. I finally turned around and said at the main event, hey, listen, I got to pay attention to this fight. You know, can we try to keep it down? Now, I will admit, my eyes were wandering for that whole fight. There was many ring card girls, and they were more entertaining. Let me just say this. They were more entertaining than all the fights except for this main event. The main event was great. Nick Brinson improved to 15-1 with 2 draws and 6 knockouts. Now, before the fight started, I was on my way in the hall to go to the men's room, and I ran into a friend of mine, Sammy Bunch, who works the corner of Nick Brinson. And we started talking. This was before the fight. And I said, I said on my show that Nick Brinson against Jorge Melendez isn't that much of a drop in a fight, when we heard about it. The only thing I was concerned about was the last minute. I'm talking last minute. This was a week notice in this fight. And Sammy says, I know, we're ready for this fight. And prior to that, before I even, we were at the event, I ran into Brinson's manager. His name is Gunther, and I ran into him, and I didn't realize he worked with Brinson. And I said, hey, what's happening? I said, who you here with? He said, Brinson. And I said, oh. I said, how do you think he's going to do? He says, we're going to win this fight. And they did. It was an entertaining fight from start to finish. Now, in this fight, if you missed this fight, there was a part when Brinson got in some serious trouble. Now, this is a point that I want to make about two jobs at the referee. I think it was Charlie Fitch was the referee. Great referee. I've seen him fight. Seen him referee fights. I've watched him do the right thing. I think we saw him for the first time a few years ago. Ironically enough, I think Alex was with me, and we saw him as he was starting, and we've seen him do very well and get better and better. And in this fight, Brinson was in some serious trouble, just like Chad Dawson. Now, in the Chad Dawson fight, I felt that the referee did the right thing. Chad Dawson was not able to continue. In the Brinson fight, I thought that Charlie did a great job. He gave him extra time. He gave him an extra, Alex and I think about 3 seconds, all right? But I don't disagree with it, and I'll tell you why. Was he in serious trouble, Brinson? He most certainly was. How he stayed on his feet, I don't know. I don't know how the kid stayed on his feet. He was literally out on his feet, all right? And the ropes kept him up, and Charlie, and he took some extra shots while he was out on his feet, and Charlie went over and gave him the 8 count. Now, when he asked him if he could continue, Brinson said yes, and he tried to put his gloves up, and he still didn't have all his legs, and Charlie Finch, now keep in mind, Brinson was winning this fight. He gave him the benefit of the doubt. There was about 10 seconds left in the fight. He kind of pushed Melendez away, and he bought Brinson a couple extra seconds. They continued to fight. Melendez jumped all over him. Brinson was still in some serious trouble because he wasn't even able to hold on or anything. But then the bell sounded. He ended the round on his feet, staggered back to his corner. The rest is history. He won the fight, like I mentioned. Melendez loses for the third time in his career. He drops to 26-3 with a draw. The way the judges scored it, 96-92, 98-91, 99-90. I believe I had it, what did I score? I scored the fight. I had it 98-91. That was my score as well, 98-91. So great fight there. The other fights on the card, not so great. Like I said, the Rinco girls were great. Journeyman Jose Rodriguez took care of unbeaten Jeffrey Fontaz. He improved to 18-11 with 11 knockouts. Fontaz, actually, he should have won. We all had him winning, but they gave the fight to Fontaz to improve to 12-0. That was a pretty terrible decision, if you ask me. Another one, Sammy Cote of Ghana improved to 20-0 when he fought Guillermo Sanchez. Both Alex and myself had seen Guillermo Sanchez fight live before, and I think he only had one loss when we saw him, or maybe 2 losses, and this was his 6th or 7th loss in a row. He was winning the fight. He ran out of gas and ended up losing a tough decision, 76-75 twice, and one judge had it 77-74, which I don't understand. I thought it was a little closer than that. We had John Franklin beat Joshua Reyes in a 6-round fight to improve to 5-0. And Reyes was undefeated as well. He dropped to 4-1. And Renell Griffin of Las Vegas was not supposed to win. Undefeated Jose Saez came in the fight at 4-0 and left the fight 4-1. Griffin is now 7-15-2, and he was acting like he just won, the world title. And we realized that the reason why is because he just bought himself another couple of fights by winning, getting back on the winning way. So great fight. It's the main event. The rest of the card, could have been a little more exciting. But the ring card girls were worth the price of admission. Just ask Alex Papali. And if you're real nice, maybe he'll send you a couple of pictures. In a fight that was a little shocking to me. I didn't get this one right, although a lot of people in the challenge did. Andrei Kilimov improved to 16-0 with 8 knockouts when he beat John Molina, who drops to 25-3. 97-93, 96-94 for Kilimov, and the third judge had it even at 95-95. Farah Enos improved to 21-1 when he beat Tony the Tiger Hanshaw, who's no tiger, but nonetheless, 23-3-2 now for Hanshaw. The went to distance. He did put him down in the last round, but it did go to distance. 10-round decision, 95-94, 96-93 twice were the way the judges saw that one. And in the lightweight division, Ray Lampkin Jr. improved to 4-0 with a knockout when he beat Joaquin Chavez over 4 rounds. Chavez drops to 4-7-2. Willie Lyman retained his Commonwealth Junior welterweight title by winning a decision over Mitch Prince. He improves to 37-4 with 10 knockouts. Prince drops the second fight of his career, 11-2. 116-112, and 2 of the judges had it the same at 115-111. And last couple of fights here over in, I believe it was in Thailand, Chocolatine Fila Pranyo improved to 47-1 with 30 knockouts when he beat very overmatched Jovel Marian, who is now 8-13. It only took 6 rounds to take care of him. And in from the land down under, junior middleweight, Michael Zeffira won a unanimous decision over Ray Anton over 10 rounds, 97-92, 96-94, excuse me, and 95-94. And the co-main event, junior middleweight, Oscar Leiden won a unanimous decision over Joel Camilleri, 8 rounds, 77-75 across the board. That takes care of all the fights from the weekend, and man, did we have a lot of them, and they were all pretty entertaining, if you asked me, in case you were wondering. According to Alexander Povetkin and his team, the Vladimir Klitschko fight is done. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. We will see. I have not received an official announcement other than from their camp. So we'll have to wait and see. So we'll see what happens there. Did you hear that European champion, and he was a former world light heavyweight, Jürgen Brähmer, is coming back on August 24th. We don't know who he's fighting, but apparently he's going to be fighting in Germany, so we'll see about that. Now, we talked about this earlier, and my man Bjorn Henrique sent us a copy of the press release, but it is true. 50 Cent, more commonly known as, Curtis Jackson, more commonly known as 50 Cent, and Lou DiBella have acquired the rights to the movie Tapia. It's the life and times of Johnny Tapia, so we'll keep an eye on that. Johnny Tapia, you knew that was going to be a great story. What a shame losing him. I happened to have been in Albuquerque, New Mexico, when they were giving him the 10 count, and there wasn't a dry eye in the place. I'll tell you that right now. Obviously that's where he's from and everything else. But anyway, we'll see how that turns out. I'm looking forward to that. Francois Botha, he's in a tough fight this weekend. Oh man, yeah, he's fighting a guy that's got 5 fights under his belt. Now, you look at these fighters, and they know you know that they got to get a win to continue with their career. Francois Botha, when's he going to hang it up? I mean, what? He's got nothing else to do? He doesn't have a tomato garden or something he can play around in, or decide to cut his lawn? I mean, he's got nothing else to do except try and fight. He's been fighting for 22 years. This kid, he made his pro debut before his opponent even was born. His name is Dean Garmos. I'm sorry. His name is Parker, Joseph Parker. He's only 21 years old. And he's got 5 wins, okay? He's 5-0. Here's who he fought. Deem Gormosway, who was 2-1. Terry Tuturu, who was 0-9-1. Richard Tutaki, who was 20 wins, 22 losses, and a draw. Dante Pate, who was 0-1. And Bryce Ritani Co., who was I don't have his record. I think it was a pro debut. Only 4-round fights. And 4 of those fights, he knocked his opponent out. That's who Francois Botha is meeting, I believe, on Thursday. So we'll have to wait and see if he can squeak by that one. Frank Warren, many people said he was done, finished, dead. He announced a fight this morning, or maybe it was this morning here or over the weekend. That'll be taking place. That's going to feature a 6 fight deal at Cooper Box. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm wondering who's going to be on that card. So we'll keep you posted on that one. We are going to open up the phone lines here. So if you want to get your thoughts about the fights from the weekend, if you give me a second here, we'll get the phone lines ready. So if anybody's interested in giving us a call, it's 845-228-8710. That's 845-228-8710, and we'll see if the phone system is working. Yeah, it looks like it might not be. We'll say we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, actually, we're gonna have to kickstart this son of a gun because she's no working. But while I do that right now, Antonio Tarver has announced that he's definitely going to be coming back. He's 44 years old. If you recall, he got popped for using steroids. He got banned for, I guess, a year. And I figured that was the end of his career, man. I figured no more Antonio, but apparently he's ready to come back. He said that he wants everyone to know, whoever's in the cruiserweight division and the light heavyweight division, they're on notice because the Magic Man is back and he's going to claim what's rightfully mine. What's your thoughts on Antonio Tarver coming back? Here's a guy that's obviously pissed off, and the reason why he's pissed off is because he really effed up a great deal at Showtime because he couldn't let go of the fact that his career was over. He should have just stopped fighting to begin with, and stayed with the Showtime gig. Instead, he's lost it to Paulie Malignaggi. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought that Antonio Tarver did a great job. I actually loved Antonio Tarver's job. Now, Paulie Malignaggi does a decent job as well, and he's very knowledgeable. It's just that I could handle Antonio Tarver's voice better than I can handle Fran Dresser. Paulie Malignaggi. So I don't know, man. I'm not so crazy about him coming back. I really didn't think he had much left to begin with. Prior to losing another year, he's 44 years old. From what I understand, he's in really good shape. He's out of Florida by the Tampa area, and I know that he's in the gym on a regular basis. Who's he going to fight? Is he going to go after Adonis Stevenson? Does that make sense? Is he going to try and get a fight with B-Hop? You think he's going to try and go for another fight with B-Hop, which incidentally will be reminiscing about a fight between those two today, a little bit later. But what's there? Saying cruiserweight or light heavyweight. I guess his dreams of heavyweight title are done. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really think that Antonio Tarver should maybe try and get another broadcast gig. Not that I need any more competing with us, but the bottom line is he did do a decent job, and I thought he was very good at it, and I'm not so sure he's still good at all as a boxer. As a matter of fact, I never thought he was good at all. I never was a big fan of his inside the ring. So he's announced that he's coming back, and he's putting the boxing world on notice, I guess. I don't know. And speaking about coming back, how about Rico Hoy? He retired, and now he's coming back as well. He was ranked as high as number 1 in the light heavyweight division, and he's got a record of 23 wins, 3 losses, 15 of his wins coming by knockout. And he says he's coming back this time at heavyweight. So you could try and call in if you want, 845-228-8710, 845-228-8710. The phone line is open. Rico Hoy, I have no interest in seeing him unretire either. So we got a couple of old-timers, although I'm older than him. But, a couple of old-timers not willing to let the gloves get some dust up on the mantle. But how about this fight? And I'm interested in this fight. I really am. Brian Minto has never impressed me much more than he's just like Vinny Manuel, right? And that was a great fights with those two. But Brian Minto is just a tough guy. He's a tough guy. There's no question about it. Now, he fought at heavyweight, then he went down to cruiserweight, which I thought was a good move. Guess he couldn't get many fights at cruiserweight or whatever. And he's scheduled to fight this weekend against the Polish kid who's a lot of people have high regards for, Artur Spilska, who's 14-0. 11 knockouts on the fight. It's going to take place in Poland. It's scheduled for 10 rounds, and the Baltic heavyweight WBC belt. I gotta laugh because we did our roundtable over the weekend, and we had a former light heavyweight contender on, Bob Bogoy. And we started telling him about how many belts there are today, and wait till you watch it. It was kind of crazy. But Brian Minto set for Spilska this weekend. Joining us right now, Dax Khan. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on? Trying to make sure that the phone lines are working.
Yeah, I see. I'm glad that they are. But what's going on, man? What'd you think of the fights this weekend?
The fights were pretty good this weekend. I was shocked at, like everybody, I think I was just shocked at how easily Adonis Stevenson ended Chad Dawson's night and his reign. But, as I was sitting there arguing with the guys in the chat room, and I think I've been doing this for weeks now when it comes to Andre Ward, why does everybody just keep calling out Andre Ward? And what is this thing, Billy? Everybody's saying Andre Ward needs something to prove. What does Andre Ward have to prove? I'd like somebody to tell me what on Andre Ward's resume has improved already. He's the best guy going from 160 to heavyweight.
Well, the thing with Andre Ward, the only thing that I think that I would like to see him do, and the reason why I say this, Dax, is because when fighters become elite, and he's clearly an elite fighter, when fighters get into that thing, and it's the same thing we say about Floyd, that they have to do things out of the ordinary. When you go from being a good fighter to an elite fighter, you want them to do something out of the ordinary. And the only knock, and I agree with you 110%, there's not many other fighters that are active today, in my opinion, the top three, Andre Ward, Carl Froch, and Abner Mares, for having the toughest, a level of opponents that they face. But the only knock on Ward is that he's never fought in somebody else's backyard. And I, too, I think he beats Carl Froch whether they fight in California, Vegas, London, or on the moon. But I think it would be good for Andre Ward just to shut up the critics and go over to England and fight Froch.
Yeah, but, it's one of those catch-22s, because it's, Floyd Mayweather fights in Vegas all the time. You look at his resume, he's had less than a handful of fights outside Vegas. The Klitschko brothers, how many, between the two of them, they've had a handful of fights away from Germany. Carl Froch, there's a guy right there that in the Super 6, after he lost to Mikkel Kessler, he said, and don't get me, I'm a fan of Froch just like you are, but, he sat there crying and complaining about, I'm never fighting out of London again. But you don't hear the same criticism for these guys.
Yeah, well, everybody wants Ward because he's the guy, man. He's the guy that they want to beat, So it's a form of flattery, I think. They all want Ward. I don't look at it as bad. I like Andre Ward, I do, and I don't look at it as a bad thing.
I don't. What really makes me laugh when people are sitting there talking about Andre Ward dropping down in weight to fight Triple G. Or stuff like, I don't know if anybody, if you ever met Andre.
Dax, we just lost you. If you want to call back, try that. I don't know. We just lost Dax abruptly there. So hopefully he'll give us a shout back. I don't know. That might, I think that might have even been on his side because it doesn't look like it's on our side. So hopefully he'll give us a shout back. We are going to take a break here in a second, so hopefully he'll call us back. We do have some great fights lined up for this week again, and then next week. So we have a nice little run here of fights And the one that I can't wait, the card that I can't wait for, really is the one that's taking place in Pennsylvania at the Sands Casino and Resort. Dax, I see you're trying to call, and unfortunately, we have imagine that we have an issue with the system again. So we will be taking care of that. I'm going to be taking care of a break here in a second. I got a couple of minutes, but I want to talk a little bit about this fight. Bryant Jennings against Andrei Fedosov. I like the fight. I like the co-main, Sergey Kovalev against Cornelius White. And I like the third part of the triple header, Ronald Cruz against Raynar. Also for the live people that are going to attend that card live, they're going to be treated to a pretty decent undercard as well. So I like it, and I like the fact that it's on NBC Sports Network, and it's all looking good, man. It's all looking good. That's for sure. Now this weekend, in addition to that, and the main event, of course, is Bryant Jennings. What did I say? Did I say Bryant Jennings? Yeah, I said Bryant Jennings against Andrei Fedorov. I like Bryant Jennings, man. I think he's a heavyweight to watch. Unfortunately, I don't think he's big enough to really compete with a Klitschko or something like that. But let's face it, the Klitschkos aren't going to be around forever. I'll tell you who I'd like to see him fight, to be honest with you. I'd like to see Bryant Jennings fight David Haye. I really would. You know, that ought to be an interesting fight. They're both similar in size. David Haye, brags about how great he is. And Bryant Jennings he just gets the job done. You know, he's a young kid. That's a fight I'd like to see. I'd like to see that one. I know that Bryant Jennings even offered to fight Tyson Fury as well. So I'd like to see more of Bryant Jennings, to tell you the truth. I think what's happening to Bryant Jennings is that he's getting too good for his own good. You know, he's getting too good for his own good. Is that like right? You know, is that a correct statement? But anyway, last week we talked about Kerry Davis leaving HBO, and I wonder what impact it's going to have. You know, Ken Hirschman leaving Showtime and moving over to HBO. And then the war with Golden Boy seems to have some things in a little disarray over at HBO. But, for the other side of the coin, Showtime, they've been stumbling and bumbling a little bit as well. I know that Showbox series that we used to all love to watch has been a little questionable lately, like this past Friday night, although we did get a great main event. The rest of that card, and I know that the one fight was televised. I'm not sure if three were or if just two were, but we were ringside for that fight, so I'm not sure. But only one fight that night was really extremely competitive. The other ones were snooze fests, and I think Ken Hirschman did a great job for Showtime, and I think they're missing him right now. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to talk a little more about Kerry Davis, and the phone lines will be open for the last half hour. Hopefully, we won't hang up on you like we just hung up on Dak. So give us a call after we come back from break.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Maybe Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
In the real world, life has its shares of trials and tribulations, but you don't have to face them alone. This is Patricia Campanaro of Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you are facing emotionally difficult family legal issues from divorce to child custody, reach out to the team that will dedicate themselves to fighting for you, the team of Campanaro and Tomkovich. With almost 30 years of experience handling divorce, child custody, legal guardianship, visitation, and other legal issues dealing with family concerns, we can help you resolve the problems you are facing with professionalism and care. Our supportive staff is always ready to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have. To find out more about about Campanaro and Tomkovich, visit us at duchessnylaw.com or call us and speak to a member of our attentive staff at 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Don't be surprised at court with inexperienced representation. At Campanaro and Tomkovich, we have been helping our clients get the justice they deserve for almost 30 years, and we could do the same for you.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the '1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's in some butter net, coming at you on the count of 1, 2.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. We got some interesting fights going that went on this past weekend, and we got some interesting fights that are scheduled for this upcoming weekend. And then next weekend, we got even more good fights. So a lot of good stuff going on. You know, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Boxing's in a resurgence for show. You know, it's funny. Keith Tessera's in the chat room right now, and Keith was involved in the show in its early days. And I remember a show, Keith, I'm talking to him like he's sitting here, but he's in the chat room. I remember a show that we did, and it was actually like at the beginning, and we were complaining about how bad, you know, the state of boxing was in, you know, when we first started the show. Now, we're going back. This show is 11 years old, so we're in our 11th year. So this is going back, you know, several years, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And then by the time we were, you know, evolving the show, the boxing had started the resurgence that we see right now. So it's pretty amazing of how it's come around, and you know, we're seeing the fans come back. We're seeing a whole new generation of fighters. The phone lines are open, 845-228-8710. We'll give it another shot. We're seeing a whole new generation of fight fans, I should say, following the new fighters. And you know, it's interesting. I was up to the International Boxing Hall of Fame this past weekend, and you know, I went up there for the fight and also sausage and pepper sandwich. But you know, the bottom line is, you know, a lot of the old timers, myself included, and we start talking about boxing and the old fighters and stuff like that. We're a dying breed because a lot of the young fight fans don't give two craps about the old time fighters. They really don't. And you know, I know that we've went through this discussion on this show with footage. I know, for an example, I noticed Given Quality is in the chat room, and he's a big Floyd Mayweather fan. And we got several other people in there that I recognize, and you know, these guys appreciate the new fighters. I know that I got an email once. Someone was upset with me saying that I wasn't giving the fighters of today credit, and I wasn't saying that. And they were complaining that I'm always favoring the old time fighters. And I tried to get them to watch the video, some of the old videos of these older fighters, you know, from years gone by, you know, even before my time, you know. And what's come back to me is that most of the young fighters are not so hot on the videos that they're watching. You know, they don't like the fact that, you know, people write about a guy like, let's say, Harry Greb, who there's no video footage on, you know, and they say, well, Harry Greb was a great fighter. And a young fight fan of today, and I say young, 35 or younger, or even 40 and younger, might say, well, I never saw Harry Greb fight. I read that this reporter and that reporter wrote about him, and I want to see him fight. I want to judge him for myself. I want to see if he's as good as, some of these other fighters that I can punch up on YouTube and watch. And, they can't see it. They can't see the video, so they just throw it away. No, that's not, he wasn't a great fighter. And for the longest time, I was against that mentality. I felt, how could you say that? When you have a boxing writer that for every single newspaper in the United States, we used to have a boxing beat writer. They would cover boxing. It was extremely popular. And the bottom line is that, if every single writer writes that Harry Greb was a great fighter, you have to put some value in that. But in with today's technology and in today's world, a lot of younger fans want to just watch the video. They watch a video of Jack Johnson and they say, how can I say he was a great fighter? He looked primitive. He looked slow. He looked like he, hugged and held on and didn't do anything. And by the video, I can't argue, because the way the videos were shot, there was no such thing as high definition. There wasn't even such thing as color. There wasn't even such thing as a multi-camera shoot. There was one camera. They set it up on a tripod. The thing weighed 9,000 pounds. All the fights that you look at, like the old fights, I'm talking about turn of the century fights, they were outside because of the lighting situation. And then when you move inside and you look at that footage of like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, that kind of footage, even that footage is terrible. Grainy and too much light, and the guy wearing the red trunks is fighting the guy in the black trunks, and you can't tell who's who because it's black and white. Do you really get to see the talent? In the 50s you do. And in some of the 40s you do, because you can see the head movement, you can see the punches thrown and the accuracy and stuff like that. But you also see a lot more, what I call toe-to-toe or phone booth type fighting that people of today, young fans, specifically people that like who, don't call it the sweet science. Even though the sweet science has evolved. So I can understand that point. The reason why I say this is because I would be very happy watching old footage over and over and over and appreciating the old fighters. But a lot of younger fans today have no interest in that. They talk to me and they talk to me about the old days, back in the day. Back in the day when Marvin Hagler fought. I look at Marvin Hagler like wasn't he fighting like a couple of years ago? Didn't he just retire? But it's 20-something years ago already. So I understand their point, and I think it's only fair that they get to enjoy their fighters of today. And when you see fights like we saw this past weekend, and such a collection of styles and fighters, I could see their point. Now, me personally, I like the old fighters. I'm not discrediting the new fighters, but I like to learn as much as I can about the old guys, and I like to watch the old stuff. I mean, old guys from the 40s and earlier, even 50s and earlier. But I understand where the younger fan is coming from. And I can only imagine where we're going to go. I see the business of boxing changing a lot, and the way they do things and stuff like that. And I don't see it ever getting to a point where, people like myself would like it to get to. I was asked over the weekend, what's the one thing I would change in boxing if I could? And, it was an easy answer. I feel that we should have one champion for each division. I mean, if I had two things, I'd like to have 8 original divisions. I wouldn't, want 32 divisions, but the bottom line is, if I only had one, I think I would go with one champion for each division. You can give me 100 divisions if you want, but I only want one champion for each division. I don't like this multiple champion BS. So that's what I would like to change. But anyway, we got about 20 minutes. If somebody wants to call in, The line is open, I think. Now, if you're trying to call in and if you're in the chat room, just drop me a note telling me that you're trying and it's not going through. But the line is open. And if you want to get, I think I could take one more caller. But anyway, we will continue on with some stuff. Anyway, I was talking about Kerry Davis, and just to close that thought about the newer fight fan. You're lucky. You're lucky that the video is so good and crystal clear. I was watching high definition of the fights from the weekend, and unbelievable views, replays. I mean, when you see, listen, I've never, claimed that I can handle the most grotesque stuff, but let me tell you, when you see up close, when the cut guy is grinding in and spreading the cut apart and he's sticking his hand into that cut, it's pretty nauseating sometimes. You're like, oh my God, and you watch it on high def. It looks like they're bleeding in your living room, and that's some good stuff, man. It's some good stuff. You see what boxing is heading for. That pay-per-view model, which I totally disagree with, is where it's at, and what I predict with technology and phones and computers and televisions, what we're going to be doing in the next year or two is you're going to be buying your service, and if you think about it, you're already being kind of led to that by your cable companies and your satellite dish companies. They're trying to get you to get all your stuff. Verizon is a good example, or Time Warner, Comcast. They all want you to buy your television, your internet, and your telephone through them. And with companies that do offer wireless, they even offer you the fourth deal, too, with your wireless package. And when a lot more people take advantage of that, what's going to eventually happen is you're going to pay, and they have it now, where you pay a service, and then you can get those same programs, all that stuff on all of your things, on your cell phone, on your television set, on your internet, all that stuff, and I think that's what we're going to be paying for. We're going to be paying for what our interests are, and if you like boxing, eventually you're going to get it on all your devices. Joining us right now, the guy who, I'm really annoyed with you, Alex Papali, for bringing your friend with you that just wouldn't shut up with me all night long. What was up with that, man?
Yeah, I don't know where that guy came from, but he sure had a lot to say.
Oh, my God. When I look at you and you just were, like, rolling your eyes at me, I'm like, I leaned over and I kid you not, you can ask Alex. I said to him, Alex, if I had a cup of gasoline and a lighter, I think I'd light myself on fire. I couldn't take it. It was awful. But I tell you, the view you had of those 97 ring card girls was pretty fascinating.
I know it. It was... I think they had a pretty good idea there, the way they were doing that. It was almost like there was a team of them. There was like 6 or 7, and they would take great big armfuls of T-shirts, and they'd go out into the crowd and throw T-shirts to, the screaming minions. And the way they were dressed, it didn't take much to get people screaming.
Listen, there was enough T-shirts to give everybody too. I mean, they had, I don't know how many boxes of T-shirts they had, but there was certainly a lot of them. And they did have one rule I figured out after, the third box, that you had to actually cheer or ask them for it. They wouldn't just hand them to you, so they made you work for them.
Right, yeah, you got to make some noise.
Yeah. So what's your thought?
I think it's a good idea because, I mean, that's the thing about, and I think we heard a few people say this up there at the Boxing Hall of Fame, is that, you got to remember boxing, yes, it's sport, but it's also spectacle. And the round card girls, especially, they're part of the live fight spectacle. A lot of networks don't show them at all. So that whole aspect, I mean, it was going on in between the bouts, and it's certainly a way to get the crowd involved, at least the men.
Yeah, well, there's There's no doubt. I tell you what, the scenery there was better than the cars. And
I thought the Guillermo Sanchez fight was interesting because we sort of saw an interesting story play out there in front of us. I thought that fight was definitely winnable for him for a while, and I thought the main event was really good. I mean, we saw, undisputedly, I think that's one of the rounds of the year in terms of the ShowBox round of the year so far, and I think you probably have to put it in there as a contender for one of the TV rounds of the year.
I think so. And like I said to you that night, and also I said a little earlier, I wish, I thought that the referee did a great job. That's for sure. And I wish people appreciate that. There's times when you give a fighter a break, and then there's times like in the Chad Dawson fight, you can't.
Yeah, and I think that there was the big difference between the two was that I mentioned in the chat room is that you could really see that the difference was passion. Brinson was still in that fight, and he certainly not only in it, he was winning it, and it was a flash knockdown. I mean, he had gone back against the ropes, and he would have gone down, had the ropes not been there. I think in that sense, Fitch made a really good call, and the count was a little slow, but I don't think it was. He could see that the guy wanted badly to continue. Chad, it was like he wasn't even aware that the guy was talking to him. You don't mumble and kind of shake your head when the ref asks you if you want to continue. He wants to see you're ready. And Chad didn't show that. Chad, the fire is gone. It's pretty sad.
Listen, I did not realize, and I didn't know this when you and I were ringside. I didn't realize he went through 11 trainers in his career, Alex. That's too many. That's too many. There's no.
It's fine that he doesn't take accountability for his own failings. He's always blaming someone else.
Yeah, and the thing is there's, how I'm always saying, this sport needs continuity. You need continuity in the corner, man. You need to have that familiar voice, and he really doesn't have it. And. I don't know. Listen, to say he's finished, he's done. That's a little premature, but he's certainly not an elite fighter. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think in that sense, as an elite fighter, it's very likely we've seen the last of him. And in terms of his health, I hope that he, really rethinks what he's going to do, because this is not a sport to be sort of half-assed. And that looked a little half-assed because, even though it was only 76 seconds, if you look, he, against a guy who's a known power puncher, you don't let him reach for you and tap you as easily as Chad did. Stevenson only landed 3 punches. The first 2 punches he landed a jab and a right that kind of touched Chad. And Chad lets him. And then the next punch he lands is the huge right. It's the first round. You don't let him touch you that easy.
I got to be honest. When I saw the fight and I saw the Chad that came out, I said to myself, oh, man, this might be an interesting fight, because he seemed a little aggressive. He seemed like he had something to prove. And remember, he made a statement on Friday that said, I'm going to prove that this guy doesn't belong in the same ring with me. And the other part that has to not go unnoticed, because I don't think enough people are giving Stevenson credit for the fact that he moved up in weight to fight this guy. This was supposed to be just a good showcase performance for Chad Dawson against the smaller 35-year-old fighter that's one-dimensional, and the end result was a big impact on the sport, even though it showed us really nothing from Stevenson other than his punching power. I think that that was the biggest impact on the sport this weekend was that 76-second knockout.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it wasn't the best fight of the weekend by no means, but it was certainly the knockout of the weekend in terms of significance. And you can't help but the first big superhero movie of the week comes out this week, and what is it? Man of Steel, Superman. So it's kind of fitting there. What marketing wizards could have thought that up?
What'd you think of the Lopez Maidana fight?
Oh, I thought that fight was really good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought Lopez. I thought he was going to win that fight, and there was a few points where it looked almost as if he was going to, finish Maidana off. But no, it ended up being. I don't know. That one was a little bit of a quick stoppage. I think. I have not seen the Angulo where he quit, but. There's no quit in Josecito Lopez, that's for sure. I thought even that was telling when he took the knee.
I love Josecito Lopez. I'm not going to say that it was stopped prematurely and stuff, but I agree more with what T. Bruce said in his email that Josecito Lopez let the fish off the hook, man. He let the rod tip down. It's fishing terminology. I know people that fish will understand what I mean. But when if you're fishing for a fish and you got them on the line, and they always tell you keep the rod tip up. If you let the rod tip down, it puts slack in the line, and the fish gets away. Well, that's kind of what happened with Josecito Lopez. He had the fight. Going in the direction that he wanted, following the game plan, and either he slipped, he took his foot off the gas, whatever the case was. And a guy like Maidana, you just can't get away with that, And he's not the most skilled guy, but you can't make a mistake against him.
Right, definitely. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I mean, a guy like that uses pressure and distance and pacing so well. And you're right. As soon as he let up a little bit, Maidana slipped right in there into that just inconsistency of Lopez, and that's what made him pay.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Great week of fights, no doubt about it. And we got some good ones coming up this week and then next week. So, clearly in a resurgence, it looks like. And it also looks like we're going to be good to go with our roundtable, bro. So I appreciate all the work that you did today, getting that to us, and I guess John's got them, and it's gonna be good. So
great. So he was able to take a look at them and can do something with them.
Yeah. That was fun, and I think it's gonna lay the groundwork for some great stuff in the future for our roundtables, and I'm excited about it because we had a great time, and we found a future blast from the past, didn't we?
Yeah, Bob Benoit. That's going to be cool. We'll do him.
Yeah, he was a character. I'm glad he was there. I'm glad he showed up.
Yeah, that was very cool meeting him and getting to work with him there.
Hey, quick question. Did you?
As usual, I love that Hall of Fame. I mean, it's the more you go, the more you can be sort of discriminating as to what you decide to do on the Hall of Fame grounds, and that's more organized and what's where you sort of go off on your own. But, I mean, where else are you going to get a congregation of so many like-minded boxing nerds? I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't beat the sausage and pep. Well, sorry, just peppers. I've already told that story 100 times. The look at them, the conference, and then here, just take the peppers and onions and go.
There was a commercial that I used to see after school when I was a kid. When I get home from school, and we watch cartoons, and they were trying. I think they were selling like string cheese or something, and they freak out because the kids would come in and they'd order cheese. They'd want pizza with nothing.
Yeah, right.
It's just
pizza with nothing. That guy would go, pizza with nothing, right?
Right. That was the reaction I was getting. You want a sausage and pepper with nothing?
Right. Wait. You mean that's like my dad. He'll say, I'll have a BLT, but hold the lettuce and tomato. He wants a bacon sandwich. So. But anyway, Alex, we'll look forward to your piece on Wednesday. We're going to be doing the blast from the past. Eddie Perkins, Hall of Famer and former world champion, we'll be talking about him, right?
That's right. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. At least I know one thing's for sure. This phone system works, so it had to be Dax's phone this time.
There you go.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
That's Alex Papali. You can catch him on Wednesdays, and he's going to be coming here on Wednesday, as is Scotty Krause. And tomorrow we're scheduled to have Emily Harney. Thursdays, DaxCon, and don't forget about all of the other shows that follow this one. Now, tonight we will not be doing our Talk to Me Man. It will be back on Monday. But tomorrow, Tony Treem's Heavyweight Spotlight will be on. Wednesday, we're hoping to get our roundtable broadcast. And then we're going to keep moving on. Friday, Scotty's extra show will be on. So we got all of that stuff. But now...
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
You want a pizza with nothing? that they're talking about that in the chat room. Huh? What, a pizza with nothing? But anyway, today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question is being sponsored by us. Yeah, today it's being sponsored by the BillyCBoxing.com website. And our trivia questions are supplied to us by our very own trivia question guru, Henry Haskup. And today's question is the same one that none of you guys can get right. The question is, who fought unsuccessfully for world titles in 2 different decades before finally winning a world title in the 3rd decade? Who fought unsuccessfully for world titles in 2 different decades before finally winning a world title in a 3rd decade? If you want a pizza with nothing? If you know this answer, email me, Billy@talkinboxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. And if you're the first one to get the answer correct, you'll win the prize. And speaking of prizes, Jerry, drop me an email, man. You never picked your prize for winning the challenge for the month of May. So if you're listening, make sure you drop me an email. One more time, who fought unsuccessfully for world titles in 2 different decades before finally winning a world title in a 3rd decade? Email me the correct answer, and you'll win if you're the first one. Billy@talkinboxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. Remember, you don't have to be in that area. They got locations all over the world. No, just the United States. 845-221-4099. Okay, on this day, I told you we're going to revisit this. On this day, June 10th, in 2006, Bernard Hopkins. He wins a 12-round decision over Antonio Tarver to win the world light heavyweight title. That took place on this day, June 10th, in 2006, in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Also on this day, a great fight, and if you've never seen either one of these 2 fights, make sure you punch it up. On this day, June 10th, in 1955, Carmen Basilio knocks out Tony DeMarco in the 12th round to win the world welterweight title, and that took place on this day, June 10th, in 1955, in Syracuse, New York. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. I do have one other thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow evening, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.